The most stupid thing is just keep quiet. Even if it's something that is obvious, but it's never obvious. In plants, nothing is obvious. Always be curious. I always think that something is wrong. You need to find what is wrong today.
Welcome to Greenhouse Success Stories. Tune in every week as we share conversations with growers, operators, and innovators from around the world, providing insight into what's working in their greenhouses. We discuss firsthand experiences and provide insights into how these farms are succeeding and thriving. Special thanks to our title sponsor, Arnois Greenhouse, with your host, founder of Little Greenhouse That Could, Trina Semenchek.
Thank you so much, Gabriel Forero, for being the first ever Greenhouse Success Stories podcast guest. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Gabriel is the head grower at Centera Greenhouse in Alberta. And so we'll be hearing, a lot from him about his journey through greenhouses and some of the challenges that he's had while being in there. So thank you so much, Gabriel, for enjoying it.
Hey, Trina, no, thank you, no problem. Always happy to be realistic and support the industry.
Oh, thanks, Gabriel. So just to get started, I was wondering if you could tell me your story of how, you got into the greenhouse space and why you choose to keep working in the greenhouse space. If you could talk about that to start.
Yeah, sure. So that we need to go back 18 years back in the past. So I was working first in Colombia, South America. Colombia have a huge industry of greenhouses. So I work in the flower industry, cut flowers. I worked there for like 4 or 5 years. And then I moved to the field crops, to potatoes, carrots, lettuces, all of that. Because the standards of growing in Colombia are very high for those greenhouse crops. So I want to do my part in the food sector. So I started working in a company, a family company, the Garcia family. And I worked with them like 5 years. So it was a huge conglomerate of farms, 2,000 hectares.
2,000 hectares?
Yeah, it was huge.
Wow.
And then we have in rotation at that time 800 hectares of potatoes. And then you manage the rest of the farms, right? And then we have the 800 hectares of potatoes. Then we have corn in rotation. Then we have 3 hectares of lettuce a week.
Oh,
Then we have like 1.5 hectares of cabbage a week. 1 hectare of spinach a week. Then we have, I don't know, in the year probably 200 hectares of carrots. Then we had like 100 hectares of peas. So it wasn't huge. We are talking about a float of tractors and like 400 people. I was there for a couple of years and then I was like, okay, I want to move ahead and study, do something. So I came to Canada. I left my work there. I came to Canada and I started studying. And then we went back home to visit the family. Well, then we come back. When I come back to Canada, we're talking 9 years ago. I was like, you know what? Let's go to the greenhouses. So I started working in a greenhouse in Leamington. At that exactly time, the cannabis was in boom. So I was
Okay.
pulled out as a grower to the cannabis sector, and I worked with the cannabis for 3 years and a half. And then, no, I just going back to vegetables. So now I'm being here for 3 years. 3 years growing
So-
in the sector here in Alberta.
So how come you didn't want to work with cannabis?
Just to be politically correct, it's just too much BS. It's a lot. It's just, a business, when you are working with plants, you need to be realistic. You can be successfully doing the best and still be negative impact, still being in a bad position. And with cannabis, it's tough because you are working with plants. It's nothing different than working with any other plant. It's a plant.
Yeah.
Plants are plants. That's why being moving across the full spectrum of crops. I can grow any crop. You know what I mean? Once you learn the foundation, then you just need to adjust some stuff. And I was there, and it's too much bureaucracy. The bureaucracy is crazy. Too much bureaucracy, and then you are dealing with people that have zero idea about plants, and they want to take the command and take the decision. And I can't do that. You take decisions of what you know, but if somebody else knows more than you let that people take the decision. And in cannabis, that was tough.
Did you find that, from working with like potatoes and carrots and all these vegetables that you originally work with, did you naturally have like more of a passion towards food than you might have had towards cannabis? Or do you think that didn't play a role?
That play a role for sure because food is food and then people need to eat. And I always happy to provide to grow food. But cannabis was fun because I never grow it. And there was so much mystique and taboos and bullshit around it that when I arrived, it was not this simple, it's a plant. So we did great. I get passion because the team where I work with, they were super passion guys. They were the guys from the 20 years until 28, and I was managing them. So I was the mentor of them. And I feel that
Oh,
I did well because I trained them all the same. They did well in their careers. Many of them are in Europe. Some of them are in the US. Others are here in Canada. And all of them are doing good.
oh, that's great.
So I feel good because I did my part.
Yeah.
Besides growing the crops, I like to grow people. And I feel that I did well with them. I still have contact with some of them. Sometimes they tell me when they have problems or questions or just to say hello. And that's fun. That's what I keep from cannabis. Not all was bad. I still keep the good connections with them and the plants are fun. Growing plants is fun.
Yeah.
Stressful part is dealing with people and not just your workers, with all kind from the top, big bosses to down to the labor. People are people and you just need to learn how to manage that.
Yeah. For sure. Just one last follow-up question on this, but how did you find growing cannabis in comparison to growing the other crops? Like you managed that, or you mentioned that, oh, it was like a new crop for you to try, so there was some excitement around that. But yeah, could you just talk a bit about the differences?
Well, the big difference was the pockets. They have so much money in that time that I was trying stuff that was unimaginable, something that I never imagined to do. I have a
Mm,
specific light. I can manage to the level of real feeding, real nutrients on time. So when you are growing plants and you are able to modify your feed at the same time that you are feeding the plants, you know what I mean? It's crazy. So they have so much technology. So I learn a lot, new
mm,
sensors, all kind of stuff. But at the end, the foundation is the same. You are growing plants, so it doesn't matter. You have the super Argus control with 2,000 sensors. At the end, is a plant. And if the plants are not properly treated, people is take good care of them. Doesn't matter what system you have or what tools you have. It's real, right? So
right.
I think that the biggest difference was all the paperwork that we need to do because it's super controlled. It's like
Mm,
it's like if you were doing aspirin or pharmaceutical stuff. It's like super controlled environment. I remember it was more secure than any bank that I visit. You have cameras
mhm.
everywhere, super doors. The vaults where you have the cannabis is super thick metal stuff. It's just crazy. But the growing conditions, the technology that you have available, I can speak, it's amazing. The best
Yeah.
greenhouse I worked in my life was a greenhouse of cannabis in Quebec. I don't want to say the name of the company, maybe we get in trouble, but I just love it. The greenhouse was the best greenhouse. It was just amazing, it was have all kind of technology, was beautiful.
Oh, wow, now I'm so curious and I wanna go tour this. So what would you say is what keeps you in the greenhouse sector? Like, is it developing new skills when it comes to growing plants or learning about this new tech, or is it growing people? Like, what really keeps you around? Because 'Cause you've been in it for a while.
Yeah, no, because it keeps me busy and it keeps me engaged. Because in a greenhouse, the moment that you get comfort, some shit happen. So it's like, it's just killing like pump it, It's like, okay, today we are doing this, and then you have a plan, and the plan is worthless because something happened that is just scratch. So you need to just readapt. So you need to train people to adapt and just to do their best. Always expecting like the best, but sometimes you don't have the tools to do it. So you need to improvise, and improvisation is key. And I like to
Mm,
improvise, so there are problems all the time. So we just need to move ahead and just make it work. And then we make it work and then we correct. But the important part is that nothing stops. Everything needs to continue. And I think because it's very demanding in labor, in energy, in everything. You have a crop that is going to start to be producing for 40 weeks, 41 weeks, producing tomatoes. So You need to be right on time and work fast. It's a very fast environment to be. And I'm a fast person. I speak even fast. So so I think that is, yeah, I like it. I've been in love with agriculture since I was in the university. I always love agriculture. So at the end, here I'm in agriculture in a greenhouse because it's all the time working. When I was in Colombia, for example, I was in the fields. We don't have winter. We don't have
Yeah.
a season when everything dies. No, you are 24/7 going and going. So we never stop producing. So I think that is what is more attractive for me. I be used to be working all the time. Because if, of course, if you are in the field crops in Canada, you need to stuff. You have the storage, right? So you produce. You are planting crazy fast because rain arrives. So you need to have everything on the field. Then rain pass over. Then you take care of your field. Then you need to harvest everything like crazy because winter is coming. You harvest everything. Then you put everything in the storage, and then you need to take care of the bean and the production. Don't over dry them. Take care of them, even if potatoes or grains, whatever. And then you start selling that, moving that, but then you need to take care of the machines and everything. So there is not a real moment that you can stop in agriculture. Doesn't matter where you are working.
Have you ever taken a vacation?
Not really since I start working. My vacations are maybe 10 days, but still I connected to the phone and checking stuff, right? So, but I plan to do one this year.
Oh, good, good. Where are you going to go?
I go to Colombia to visit my parents with my wife and my daughter.
Oh, nice. You just have one daughter?
Yeah, Gabriela, yeah, she's 8.
Oh,
And Andrea, my wife, yeah. So we plan to go in December this year because
yeah, well, that's good.
it's as you say, it's not that time in a greenhouse because you finish working, right away you need to start doing the clean out, then prepare for the plants to come. So you need to have the greenhouse ready to go, then start planting and then take care of the plant when they are baby. So you have a good mass of roots ready to face winter time. So you don't stop. Pretty much you are working all the time. I would love to have more vacation, but the reality is that, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Would you consider yourself sometimes a perfectionist, Gabrielle? Because I could see being a perfectionist to be really beneficial in some ways as a grower, like paying attention to every detail of a plant and making sure it has what it needs.
But no, I'm not perfectionist at all. I look at the detail. I look at the detail to the point where I do my best and you try to provide the best. But if you look for perfectionism, right now we are in cleanout, for example, and I see a small piece of material there in the floor, but that all bothers me. But if I was perfectionist, I would just lose in my head here because it needs to be perfect, the cleanout. But nothing is perfect, especially when you are working with plants. Of course, we love to be always perfect, but even Mother Nature is not going to help to make it perfect. And you need Mother Nature to help you to push. So not just, maybe I was perfectionist 10 years ago when I was doing my master's and my PhD and everything. But then after that, I started doing more operations again, more field work, more like being in the real boots on the ground, doing stuff. I just look for the best. But perfection, I lost that one like probably, years ago.
And what was your PhD in?
No, I did my master's, so that's another history. So I started my master. During my master's, my advisor convinced me to continue with PhD. And we were doing great. We were doing all the papers and everything. But then Gabriela appears in our lives with my wife. And when Gabriela born, I have still another 2 years of study to finish my PhD. And no, family first. So I was like, you know what? No, I need to focus on Gabi and Andrea. And I just stop. I told my advisor, I said, no, you know what? I want to meet with my family. I want to finish this. And he supported me. So we did a master. So I finished with a master with 5 papers published and a bunch of stuff, one grade. Yeah. The PhD was just in the corner, but
you should send me one of your papers one time. I'd love to read it.
Okay, and the papers that I have for sure. Yeah.
So you mentioned that the minute that you get comfortable in a greenhouse, that's when things start to go wrong because maybe you're not paying attention to something. Could you tell me a story about one time when something went wrong in a greenhouse or you had a challenge in a greenhouse and you struggled with addressing the challenge? Can you tell me a bit about a time that happened?
I'm thinking deeply, but what I can say, like, I always focus on what I need to do. That happened a lot when you gave something to somebody else. So let's say that I need to do a budget and I can't focus in the water for a week. So I just checking the regular stuff, but I need somebody to be collecting my samples. So in one of those samples, everybody's on another. That's the irrigation, but I don't have more plants, so I need to cancel that alarm. So
Okay. A true grower.
yeah. So I have some things that I do, but I try to train somebody, but I don't tell these things because I think that is for granted that they can do it, and it's not. So example, there was one valve. I have 8 valves in one side of the greenhouse and 9 valves in the other side. So one of those valves have a escape of water. One of the lights was broken.
One of the lights were broken?
Yeah, one of the lights was broken, and then they are collecting these samples, and they were like robots. They were just taking the sample, putting the number. When I checked the number the next day, I seen that the number is 50% below. So I'm like, what happened? Why I didn't catch this yesterday? I was busy. So that kind of stuff is what I mean when I say you can go like a robot. If I train someone to collect data, you need to read that data too. It's not just putting the number in a piece of paper and I finish my job. And that was my mistake. So when you train someone, you need to show them the whys. And that was years ago when it happens. So now when I teach somebody, I teach the whys instead of why it is important, just the why. When you understand the why, then you know that it's important. And then they just do it automatically in their heads. So I start now teaching the whys. Why is it important to the leaf? Why is it important to check the pitch? Why is it important to check the AC every 3 hours? Why is it important to go and count the fruits? Why is it important to do plant registration? Why is it important to put attention to people when he's talking to you and look at the eyes? You know what I mean? All those whys is important. So now I work with the why. So based on your question, I will say that any aspect of the greenhouse where you are not wondering the why, you get too confident and then you have a problem. You know what I mean?
Okay. And then when you explain the whys to people, like, do you explain how it affects the physiology and the growth of the plant, or how detailed do you go in those why explanations?
I go as detailed as the person wants.
Okay.
Because when you are talking a plain language in agriculture, it's easier. Some people wants to be like divas, like, oh, the blah, 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 special names and bullshit. Amen. I write 5 papers now. I don't need to go back in that scientific stuff, right? I want to be plain so everybody understands plain and we are on the same page. If I want to go fashion, I go for a presentation or something with the fancy stuff. But we are growing. Growing needs to be as clear as possible for people. Because at the end, you try to transmit what you know to people and they need to execute. So I always the most plain language user when that is reflected to the crop. Just everybody understand.
Yeah.
And if somebody asks more like deep, some guys are very curious. So they ask me, hey, the ppms, what that means, Gabriel? Why are you talking about? And I just explain to them. Even if they understand or not, doesn't matter, but I explain. Sometimes even they ask me questions that I have no idea. I'm like, guys, I just no, let's see, and let's figure it out. So I ask my consultant or I do a research and then I came with an answer. Sometimes they ask me stuff like, I don't know. My consultant, I don't know neither. So we go to somebody else and then we find out. Right? You don't know, never you know everything, but what you know, you need to be sure that you transmit that to the people as easy as possible.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Some of the clients that I've had, I train them, on how to grow indoors with vertical farms. And one issue that I've had, people tell me, is that sometimes I can get too technical. I think I personally like the science behind it. And, I start saying, oh, this is how the chemicals break out and ionize in the water. And they're like, oh, no.
That's fine, that's what your brain works and that's perfectly fine. Now what you need to do is just transmit that super simple for a simple instruction to make it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And people don't need to know like the chemical bonds or, maybe the details about plant physiology. Yeah, they don't need to know that to be good growers. They just need to know that if you do, X, Y, and Z, this is how the plant will grow and how fast, or this is how it will change.
They call that an
or-
operational grower. You need to be it doesn't matter what level you are, you need to be always an excellent operational grower. That being said, you need to check that your filters are working properly, your pumps are working properly, your sensors are working properly, people is staying doing what they need to do properly. All that is operation sites, right? So the operational grower, that's what it is have. Then you have the person that is dealing with more technical stuff like the settings of the computer, the temperatures, the vents strategy, the pipe strategy, the winter strategy, the curtain strategy, all those strategies, that is something different. That needs to have science behind and understanding of the full holistic crop. Everything, sure.
So would you say that's pretty common to have like operational growers and plant scientists?
I think that the industry, you can have a very good operational grower, but the person that is making the decisions of the crop strategy is a consultant or a master grower, a head grower,
Head grower. Okay, so
right?
that's how you would differentiate.
Yeah. So when you are in the operational side, you are sure that the operation is doing well, right? So my vents are doing what I ask, my pumps are doing what I need, the plants are receiving the amount of water that I need, the chemical structure of the feed is right, the leachate is good, all that stuff is operational, right? But that came behind in the back stage is all the settings that you set the computer to do. And now you
Right.
just need to check that is happening.
Right. And then maybe you have a plant scientist adjusting certain parameters of the computer and then seeing how the plant reacts and comparing.
That plant scientist is more a term for like a person that works with lights or is in the industry working with a company like Philips or Newman's or Bayer. But
Okay.
in that scenario, what you are describing, that is a very good consultant.
Mm.
So you can have consultants that have many years of experience and are amazing, operational and managing decision. And you can have consultants that are more operational. There are different consultants, right? And depends what you need. So I've been lucky because I always have consultants that are complete. And
Okay.
they know the business very well, so I learn a lot from them. So they know from seed to box putting in a grocery store. And that's what you need at the end, right? If you want to be like a good head grower slash operations director or greenhouse manager or whatever you want to call it, you need to know this and you need to have some basic knowledge to develop it, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to your story of getting training that person to track percentages at each of these valves, what happened when you noticed that it was 50% lower than it needed to be? And was this the water content in one of the substrates that you're
that was
talking about?
volume of water, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So did the plant, like, did you lose crops because of it, or did you catch it soon
No,
enough?
we catch it just in the border of the wilting point. But then
Oh,
I
okay.
bring everybody, not just the person collecting that I bring everybody in the greenhouse saying, look, this happened. Why? Are passing across here like people is looking at this all the time, people collecting data. Why nobody say nothing? We need to speak out. So I tell people the worst thing that you can do is don't say what you have. You know what I mean? You are going to speak out, doesn't matter. The most stupid thing is just keep quiet. Even if it's something that is obvious, but it's never obvious. In plants, nothing is obvious. So it's like, always be curious. I always think that something is wrong. You need to find what is wrong today. That's why I tell Chase all the time. Say, Chase, go inside and find something wrong. Something needs to be wrong. That's the mentality. Something is wrong. Everything is wrong? No. But check. And then you are always alert. So there is like 10 things that I check on the morning. Then I go and do walks. I check stuff. And it's part of how you work, right? Some people are like, oh no, now there is artificial intelligence. I will put an algorithm and amen. I don't trust computers yet. I use computers for the stuff that I want them to do, and I don't pretend the computer to do what I need to do. Right? Some people is thinking that sensors and data collection in the greenhouse will be the change, but we have a lot of data now. So the thing is how you amalgamate or you manage the new research, this artificial stuff with the reality and just bond it. That is still far. It's far from reality. Example, I do my plant registration in 80 plants. Twice. So it's 160 plants. So 160 plants measured different things. There are sensors that are do that automatic, but it's maybe one or two sensors that are going to tell me what I need. I don't trust that. I'm using 2 data points in a 295,000 word. You know what I mean? 295 samples that I have, unit, and I collected 2 data points. I prefer my 160 manual, 100%. So at the moment that the technology becomes cheaper for adaptation, growers will start adapting them. So that being said, when I was in cannabis, there was so many toys and so much stuff to do that at some point you just get overflow with you are like, no, let's keep it simple. Because the simpler it is, the better it is for you to catch errors and to correct fast. It sounds stupid because I'm being, you know what I mean? I'm saying something that then I'm saying the opposite. Sounds opposite, but it's not. The growing needs to be simple. You can put so much influences and so much stuff in the computer, in Priva, that if you forget one, then you just spend maybe 2 hours again to find which one was. So just keep it simple and use the influences when you really need it. That is, for example, the sun influence with the water. Yes, you need more sun, more water. The temperature, the same. More temperature, more water. The event's position. All that stuff, you can leave it in influences with the computer, but all that stuff, like checking my bucket, checking on people, checking on the work that is to be done, that needs to be a human. There is not going to be computer stuff. I know that always when I say this, I receive 10 emails from people, oh, I have the solution. This is not.
Have you tried, and where have you found it maybe not being as useful as you need it to be? Or I guess, yeah, why you were explaining a bit about why you're skeptical of this tech, but I'm wondering if you could maybe tell
Okay,
a story
I'm going
about a
to give you
specific
a history,
instance.
but that it was in a previous job, was not in
Okay.
greenhouses. So that was the potatoes. So I win my boss with a video, and there was a drone that can collect the NGI, but it's a spectrum of the plants, and it's telling you, oh, the plants are great, the nitrogen and all, everything is good, or you have a problem.
Oh, okay.
So we send this
So it
drone.
detects nutrient deficiencies.
Yeah, nutrient deficiencies or diseases or pests.
Okay.
These pest diseases problems because the plants become yellow or they lose this photosynthetic light that the sensors in the drone detects.
Wait, quick question. So would it detect if there's a deficiency and what might be the cause of the deficiency, or just a
No,
deficiency?
usually those systems, there is something wrong, right?
Okay.
And when it's something wrong, then somebody needs to one check.
Yeah, okay. got it.
Usually it's
So
a human.
just like to alert you.
It's like a sensor to tell you something is wrong, right? So they fly these potatoes 20 hectares. He comes back, oh no, everything is good. Your crop is super healthy, congratulations. I was, okay, thank you. Now let's go and check the roots. So I pull a plant out that was full of spongos, but I say, look, these plants are fucked, man. And your sensor didn't detect it. So what is giving me? Nothing. Still need humans, you need to, it's not just the sensor, it's how to analyze and transfer the information for you to take decisions. And I feel that the
Right.
best tool is temperature, humidity, and radiation because the plants depends on that. So you manage with that the crop, but then to scout the crop and other things, you just still need to do something different. So there are a bunch of sensors and cameras, and you just see that there are so many companies doing a collection of data, amalgamation of data, then giving you outputs to do a better crop. But at the end, it's not just that, it's Mother Nature. So what sun you will have? What is the forecast for the next weeks? Can I push my plants? Can I push my plants? Because a measurement that I have for 4 days ago, people wants to do like a live management of the plants. And I feel that is crazy. At this point, it's crazy because you need to know what's going to happen tomorrow. And the forecast is okay, but it's not accurate all the time, right? So for example, why I'm saying this? Because if you have a good weather conditions for the next days, you can push your plants. Because my plant is too vegetative, so you want to go generative, so you want to be warmer. 24 hours go increase, then you dip in the night the temperatures. But what happens when you are doing this and you push for a day? I like to push my plants on a weekly basis. Every week I change, every week. But the irrigation, so every week we change the crop strategy, the temperature, the humidity, that kind of stuff. But daily, you manage the watering. Sometimes you stop super early, sometimes you stop late. The beginning of the irrigation, how many cycle, change the AC during the day. Sometimes it's, you know what, we can increase the AC because it's super dark. You know what, let's decrease the AC because it's super, a lot of light, super bright. It's bright.
Yeah.
So you change that in a daily basis, in an hourly basis. But
Okay.
the settings of the plan itself, I do it weekly. Some people wants to do it daily, but for me it's crazy. Because it's like, imagine you changing your normal food time depending on your mood. Or I'm happy I do this. No, I don't even know how to explain it, but a plant reacts according with the weather, temperature, humidity, the weather conditions, the person that is working on it, and what you are providing to them. So it's like a triangle. You can manipulate the triangle perfect. You need to do the best at that point for the plant on that strict time. And then it change again, and then it change again. But you don't change, for example, temperatures. Oh, I have very good weather today, so I push super hard the plant, and tomorrow is a shitty day. I just lost what I did, and the crop suffer. So you need to stress the plant in a way that is stress, but it's not super comfortable. Because the plant is super comfortable, it's going to be super vegetative. The plant is super stressed, it's going to be super generative, and you lost the crop any of both stations. You go to the borders, and it's bad. You need to be in the middle. In order to be in the middle, you just need to be checking details daily, but have a strategy for the week. And then adjust.
To adjust those settings daily, does it take you a lot of time, or is it
No,
pretty?
that is those are the influences and the parameters that you put to the computer. So, for example,
Okay.
if you have 25 degrees of temperature, automatically the pipes needs to go down minus 30 Celsius. Or if you have for every 100 joules that you have, you will lose certain amount of degrees in the pipes. For a certain amount of joules that you have in the day, you will feed the plant certain millimeters of water. And for that, there is so much stuff that you can do. And that is what I say that we need to focus. We need to focus in the foundation, in those basic. There are so many consultants that knows that very well, but now you need to execute it to that level. That is watering properly, managing your climate properly, do all your priva settings, arbus settings, however settings, whatever you are using properly, and then you can become sexy. Like have a sensor that's going to tell me this. But the sensors are not going to make you a better grower. What makes you a good grower is the foundation and the stuff that you do.
Yeah, it's actually really refreshing talking to you about this topic because, I'm in the engineering space. I have a background in engineering. And so I'm always around the tech conversations and, how people want to automate this and automate that. But leading back to the initial struggle that you had, where it was like maybe something was missed in the greenhouse and wasn't addressed right away, your solution to that is better training and better teaching and, educating people on why all these parameters matter and what makes a plant grow healthy. And I personally think that's such a good strategy because I'm a huge fan of education and teaching whenever possible. I love teaching clients like how to grow and stuff. Maybe I go a bit too much in the why and and the technical side of the why, but I think that education piece is so important, and I don't think enough people in this space talk about it. I think we hear too much about how tech and automation are going to be used, and that's kind of dangerous because if we lose those skills on how to grow plants properly, well, sure, maybe we'll have all these tools, but we are at risk of losing this craft, which is super valuable.
Yeah, that is 70% of the growth. Then you can with what you have. So, for example, in Colombia, I work with greenhouses that are not super high tech. But the
Right.
high tech was, you know what? You have automatic valves, you have automatic water system. So you have irrigation lines, you have a rack for that. Well, the crop itself, Mother Nature manage it. So we don't have pipes because we don't need to, but we have the sun. So when the sun is super powerful, and you always have the same sun, we don't have seasons in Colombia. The only season is rain or doesn't rain. The rest is the same. And depending on the elevation of the mountains, you have different conditions. So where I live in Bogota, for example, it can go down to 5 degrees, 8 degrees, and then goes up to 25, 27. That's perfect conditions for any plant because you close your greenhouse in the afternoon, it keeps the heat, goes down to 8, the greenhouse will go down to 15, 16, and then goes up again at the next day. So that's perfect. So you just need sometimes you need to follow moderation. How the plants, how the strawberry plant grows in Colombia. How they do this then. Let's mimic that in Canada. Boom. Succeed. How this plant do this? Boom. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, I guess the one point that I would bring up to that is we get so cold here in Canada. So we'd have to design for like a different structure.
Then you
Like
have a greenhouse high tech that have all
Yeah.
these pipes, have the boiler running 24/7 in winter. You have alarms of the boilers, of the pipes, of the pumps, of the everything. So if something fails, boom, we need to be here in 20 minutes maximum. But I have people that is here 5 minutes away. So if there is a boiler alarm, we are on call. We came, we reset the boiler, everything goes good, go. Because if the boilers are down and we are minus 42, we have, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours to react before we get depleted of heat. And then the greenhouse start.
Has that happened?
Yes,
Have you lost crops?
never. I lost
Wow,
my
because
shed.
you've just got because why?
I lost my shed. Yeah. But never lost a crop. I never lost a crop. Because, well, I care, right? So I wake up, even if I need fire, I call somebody, so go and I will tell you what to do. Boom, 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 done. But it's responsibility, it's accountability, and not everybody have that in their mindset, right? You need to be accountable, you need to be responsible, you need to be grower, you need to be everything. And usually happens because of human errors, right? It's impossible for a grower to know everything and to check everything. That's why you need to have a strong team, a very good team. So maintenance team, you need to check on that. Labor team, you need to check on this. Human resources team, you need to check on this. You know what I mean? And then you have a good foundational team to support the greenhouse itself. Of course, I go everywhere and I just check as much as I can, but always there is something loose. And usually that loose is what causes a problem like this one that I told you. The heat tank is not having water, is not having heat, and we have a loss of heat in the greenhouse. Boilers down.
Have you found that since you started training people in a different way, like teaching them more about why things matter and, why that's important to the plant, that you've had less of those errors and more success and overall
Oh,
a
yeah.
better team?
If I go back 3 years ago to now,
3 years?
in this greenhouse, this greenhouse is 4 years new. So I've been here now for 2 years and a half. If you go back to the first season, I have 25 calls every hour. Right now, I have one every 8 hours.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, and that
Yeah,
it's
good
all
for
a
you.
teamwork, right? And
Yeah.
and now if I have one, I know that it's serious.
Yeah. And do you find actually that it makes your job probably like a lot easier, right? That having less of those calls, like still you can't get comfortable because you don't want
Yeah.
anything to go wrong, but
Yeah, but for sure, then I have more time for me, for my family, for to do stuff, right? And then when the next person in line gets completely trained, then he will take these alarms, and the idea is to continue growing, right? So you are still looking at it. It's like when you have a kid, you let them fall over and scratch to the floor because they need to learn how to walk and run. But you are always behind to help them to wake up, clean them, and continue. Let's continue. That's what you need to do with people. You babysit them until a point that way you are confident. You know what? You are now a grown-up adult. Go and do your thing. So that manners that mentality with everybody. Like, always behind them looking. Do you need me? Do you need me? Okay. Do you need me? And I always have my phone on. So I say, you have something, you just send me a text or call me. All how you give them responsibility, give them like more accountability in the greenhouse. And they usually, the person that wants to do it, they just do it. Not everybody is a greenhouse mate. Some people in the greenhouse, they came and they just left because it's a lot of stress. You know what I mean? You have a crop inside a bunch of glass. You are going against nature in winter time. You are fighting all kind of problems. And some people, it's just, they can't hold it. What? We like it, though.
do you find that you ever have a shortage of people who want to work in the greenhouse, or have you never faced that issue with trying to find good staff?
Well, here in Canada, you have government programs to bring people to work.
Yeah.
Because the job is tough, right? So the conditions are tough. The high humidity or low humidity, high temperatures. or cold outside and you need still doesn't matter if it's a storm or whether you need to come to work because the plants at the end don't care, right? So we need to have a very reliable workforce. We are using the LMA program, and this LMA program provides us with good workers from Mexico, Jamaica, wherever we want to bring them. We just need to follow the parameters of the government.
Mm-hmm.
And so far is we working okay. We bring people and they like it and they continue working.
Yeah, and it sounds like you have a good team, so that's
Yeah,
good
now
to
now
hear.
finally we have a good team. Yeah, the guys are just killing it. So we start, example, the first plants that we have, the contractor to chop the crop because you need to take out the vines and chop it and clean. So that chopper, it took like 9 days to chop the crop. And we're talking only 20 acres. Then my boss bought us a chopper. And with that chopper, we did the first time that we did it was in 5 days.
Yeah, wow.
This one we did it in 3.5 days. So it's less you depend of third parties, better you can do because you have your own team, right? And
Yeah.
the compromise is high. So they say, no, you know what, it's going to be, for example, today. Today is, right now, let me see what is the temperature in degrees. Give me 1 second. So right now it's 38 degrees inside. Humidity is 19, so that is like a freaking hen.
It's 38?
Yeah, 38, humidity is 19.
Oh my goodness.
And the sun is 900 watts, 900 watts per square meter. That's a lot of sun.
Oh
But
my
what happens?
gosh.
So the guys is like, Gabriel, it's going to be crazy next week. So we want to start at 4 a.m. because at 4 a.m. the sun is not out, but you can see. So I say, sure guys, let's start at 4 a.m. So they start at 4 a.m., they leave at 1. So they leave before that stuff happened. And that's when you need to be adapting with the weather. Last week we were working from 7 to 3. This week we are working from 4 to 1. And we move to that, right? Because, so that being said, so you imagine working somebody, when they left, it was 25 degrees. 25 degrees working for 3 hours of the day at your bed, those guys are machine. You know what I mean? So I always take care of them because it's not easy to be there working at a high pace because at the end you need to be efficient, right? So it's not like, oh, I will go and do 1 row tomorrow and 1 do the next day. No, because the plant needs to do 5 rows a day. So you need to do 5. So that's an example of how demanding is the job.
Yeah.
That being said, you need to have people that is used to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You need to have people who are okay with, being flexible or working in maybe not 20. Yeah, because we say climately controlled and greenhouses. So I think, I think maybe people sometimes think that you can control the
everything.
temperature too.
Of course, then somebody we can go, oh yeah, I can. You install a HVAC system with a misting system that costs $10 million and you will keep the temperature at 15. I would never recover that money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So, so last question, Gabriel. This is how we're just going to wrap up all of these episodes on this podcast. What is your proudest moment as a grower? Would love to hear that.
I probably moment. Oh, when the guys. So I have like an emergency depart to Colombia because of my parents. So I went there, and I told the guys, I'm leaving for 10 days. I don't want to see the plants dead when I came back. Just do your best, follow what you are teach, follow all the stuff that you need to do. And I came back and everything was perfect. And I feel super proud of the team. I was like, guys, great. So I think that...
But you didn't take another vacation after that? Your team has it. They proved it to you.
Yeah, but then shit happens, right? So I have that vacation, but then sometimes you get emotionally attached to stuff, right? Being a grower, I don't know the field grower that is not emotional. Always something comes up emotionally because plants are nature, and when you are in nature, you are emotional. Some people think that this is 1 + 1 is 2, and then you deal with everything at your pace, and you can do at your speed, and you can... No. You go to the speed to the plants.
There are some people who would say it's a head of lettuce and you can cut it off and it's worth $2.50 if you sell it to...
It's not. You need to go to the speed of the crop, right? And when the crop is running, you need to be freaking flying because the plants go super fast. So that's why I said you can't relax just, oh yeah, everything's fine. My people is, no. You're always looking what is going on. Even the challenges. We have that crop because for some reason there was super cold and we had like a minus 50 a couple of hours. And I feel that the greenhouse contracts and then open again and we lost 2 cables. So that means that the cables that are holding the plants broke. And they didn't broke because of the tension. They broke from the anchors in the side. When that happens, you have 594 times 2. 1,188 plants on the floor. And it's only middle of December. So that means that you still have more than 70% of the harvest to come. And you have a bunch of plants in the floor. So what you do? We just pull out the cable, do our best to fix them, and start taking off the plants. So plant that is broken, hopefully have a socket, and then we just grow the plant again. But that is a lot of work for the guys. But we didn't lose a single tomato. Those guys are just doing great. And that was a training that it pays. When you have a person that is working, coming from Mexico or Jamaica or Colombia and wherever they are coming, you train them for 2 months. Like training. Then you leave them and they go in their own. Oh, this plant broke. I need to have a socket. Oh, this plant. And even they comment what is the best for the plants. So you hear them and you let them talk. And then you make an agreement with them. Look, what you say is right, but I think that it's better to do this because this and this. And then you validate these signs. You know what I mean? Because now the playing was done. Now they need to know a little bit more. Then you validate a bit more technical. They take it and then they are better workers. And then other stuff happen. And you go baby steps, but you're always feeding them. And so far it's been working nice.
Yeah, that's so sweet to hear, Gabriel. Okay, this is actually the last question for you. What advice would you give to new growers?
I will give the advice that I gave always when they ask me that question. Never get comfort zone. Never get so comfort that you forget things. Always red alert. Always checking. Always looking. The moment that you get in a comfort zone, shit will happen and then you will regret it. Oh, why I didn't check this? Oh, why I didn't this? Always check and treat your people the best. At the end, it's not one single person moving a greenhouse. It's a huge team of people that is committed. So have a great team, train them, and everybody have different strategies. My strategy, I'm more human. I'm more a human people person. I just go, I know the names of them, I ask them stuff, I know what they like. Like when I go to the greenhouse, I spend 2 hours just talking with everyone and coming back out. I do that at least once a week, talking with everybody. How are you doing? How is the family? What happened with Juan? What happened with your daughter? Is your wife happy? Why you drank too much Saturday? I know that you were drinking because, you know what I mean? And then you become like a friend, but at the same time, they respect you.
Yeah.
In the greenhouse, I feel that you need to earn the respect of them, not because you are the boss or the title, it's because you are that leader. And when you are that leader and you try to do the best for them, really, because you want to, not because I want to be nice in a piece of paper, then that makes the difference. And that is sometimes that is missing in the industry, you know. Sometimes they are just bushels of meat and you have a number 1 to 50.
Yeah, well, exactly. And if you show people that you care about them, they're probably more willing and more happy to help and listen to you and do what you ask of them because they see that you care about them.
Yeah, they show the respect just because the person that you are. And I love that. I think that I feel proud of it because when I go to the greenhouse, I can feel the good energy from them. And when I feel something not wrong, I go back and, hey, what's going on? You are not like this. And then you just start even helping them. Because the problems are sometimes they need to talk with somebody. You are far from your family. You are visiting them once a year. They are here in a community house. They left all this delicious food in Mexico or Colombia or Jamaica. They are not close to their families. It's a lot of stress. Besides working the crop. Besides Gabriel, sometimes losing t-shirt. So it's a lot of stress for them in this environment that you need to manage it. When you manage it, everything just flows and flows nice.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Gabrielle, for sharing your stories on this podcast. That was super fruitful. It's really nice to hear from your perspective, really refreshing to hear how important it is on the human aspects and how
Yeah.
important it is to have a good team and to care about your staff in a greenhouse.
Of
So,
course, Trina, nothing never is perfect, right? So you have 60 people and people are people. And always you will have complaints, right? Because it doesn't matter what you do. So at the end, I would say just do your best and peace of mind because you know that you did your best and that you have nothing to be regretting for, right? That's my last 5 things.
okay, well, thank you very much. And yeah, hopefully we have you on again in the future. It was great talking to you.
Ina, thank you very
Thanks.
much. Same for you. Take care.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Greenhouse Success Stories hosted by Trina Semenchek. Special thanks to our guests who make this all possible. To read the full show notes for each episode, which includes an episode summary, key takeaways, and guest resources mentioned, please visit greenhousesuccess.com. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode.